Hey, how's it going, everybody? It's Rutech. I hope you all have had a fantastic 2024 so far. For returning viewers, it's been a while. I've been pretty busy with life and such, but we're back, and if you couldn't tell, we already have a new studio going here. I like to call it the Ru Stew. It's a work in progress, but it's definitely home base now. Anyway, today we'll be going over 3 awesome gaming monitors for under $100 that'll work with both PC and console gaming. Now, if you asked me 2 to 3 years ago if I recommended any monitors for gaming for under $100, I would not have had much of an answer, but these days, even with American inflation, there's a lot of great options. So without further ado, let's get right into it, but first, this quick message. DigitalChillMart.com is the best place to get cheap Windows 10 and 11 license keys. If you're building a PC or have built one, but you're still running an unactivated version of Windows, Digital Chill Mart has you covered. Simply go to the front page of their website, scroll down a bit, and you'll find Windows 10 and 11 for great prices. And the prices get better. I have a coupon code for you guys to use. Type in RUTECH right here, and it'll be instantly applied. Link for DigitalChillMart.com will be in my description. All right, let's hop into it. First on the list is the Sceptre E275W monitor. It's sized at 27 inches and has a resolution of 1080p. Now, one thing I want to note is that 1080p with a 27-inch size for the display will make the pixels look kind of big, especially if the monitor is the average distance away from your face if you're using a desk setup. But if that doesn't necessarily bother you and you prefer a larger screen, then it's really no problem at all. The response time is 1 millisecond and the refresh rate is 100 Hz. 2 pretty solid specs that we'd want to see in a budget gaming monitor. 100 Hz isn't exactly 120 Hz or 144 Hz or even 180 Hz, but it's definitely a huge step above 60 Hz. It's particularly noticeable if you've been used to 60 Hz gaming your whole life. As for the panel type, it's VA. Nowadays, you're either getting a VA panel or an IPS panel. TN panels, on the other hand, are almost completely extinct now, and for good reason. Anyway, I digress. This monitor has a VA panel, and VA panels are great for viewing angles as well as contrast ratios, which means you're getting very deep blacks and bright whites. And anti-screen tearing tech is present with FreeSync. Now, how about the stand? In this price range, you're usually not going to get a great, nicely adjustable stand. And as expected with this monitor, that applies. You're only able to adjust the tilt of the monitor. And lastly, ports, it has the standard 1 display port and 2 HDMIs. It's a pretty solid monitor with competitive specs for the price range. Now let's see how it compares with the other 2. Monitor number 2 is the Sansui ES24F2. Now, little side note, when I make these lists, I only pick out reputable brands that have good quality control, and Sansui is a newer name in the gaming monitor business. At least I personally haven't seen them anywhere in recent years. However, they have been making TV displays for a very long time, and typically a Sansui TV is pretty solid, and I'm pretty positive that their quality control with the TVs will carry over to their gaming displays. Anyway, this Sansui is 24 inches and has a resolution of 1080p. So instead of having a 27-inch display with 1080p, you have 24 inches, which means the pixels will be a lot smaller, giving a more crisp look to the image, even though it's still the same resolution. Ultimately, between 27 and 24 inches, it comes down to personal preference. Response time is not quite on par with the other gaming monitors, as it has a response time of 5 milliseconds. I will say though, as long as you're not an esports competitor, the difference between 1 and 5 milliseconds won't really affect your gameplay, and it's also, at least in my experience, not noticeable at all. And I was a decently competitive gamer, so I think I would have noticed. The refresh rate is 100 Hz, just like the last display. It's smooth and a huge upgrade over 60 Hz. The panel is VA, so you're getting great viewing angles and a good contrast ratio, and the anti-screen tearing tech is FreeSync. And the stand is, as expected, only tilt adjustable. Now, if you ever did want to have height or swivel adjust, you would just need to get a VESA compatible mount. As a matter of fact, pretty much all modern monitors nowadays are VESA mount compatible. And for ports, you get 1 DisplayPort and 1 HDMI. And the last monitor on this list is the MSI G2412F. It is the most expensive option on this list, but it has some pretty good specs that make up for it. Let's take a look. It has a size of 24 inches and resolution of 1080p, so good size and smaller pixels giving that crisp look, and it has a response time of 1 millisecond. Now, for refresh rate, this MSI display pumps out 180 refreshes per second, which is pretty wild for a $100 monitor. 180 Hz is 80% more than the last 2 monitors, which, let me remind you, are clocked at 100 Hz. If you're really into buttery smooth gameplay, for as long as your current system can output that frame rate, this is definitely the display for you. And if you don't really know what I mean, frame rate and the hertz, the refresh rate, are a technical equivalent. If your PC is outputting 144 frames per second, but you only have a, say, 100 Hz monitor, you'll only see 100 frames per second. The panel type is IPS, which typically means you'll be getting punchy and vibrant colors. So if you like games with really nice graphics and want to see those really nice colors, or you're a movie watcher, the IPS panel will be very beneficial to you. Now for anti-tearing tech, this has MSI's own adaptive sync, which pretty much works just like G-Sync and AMD FreeSync, at least in terms of eliminating screen tearing. The stand is only going to have tilt adjust, and for the ports, you have one DisplayPort and two HDMI ports. So let's review. The Sceptre and Sansui displays are pretty great, and they're very affordable, whereas the MSI display will cost you a little bit more, but you're getting a higher refresh rate, an IPS panel, and a 1 millisecond response time. Ultimately, if I had to choose one out of these three to purchase for myself, I would definitely go with the MSI, but bear in mind, it is more expensive, and also the other two monitors are very great, and they're cheaper. I sorted through dozens of different reputable displays, and I narrowed it down to these three. So no doubt, whether you're getting the MSI or one or two of the cheaper options, you're still getting a great deal. You also can't really expect perfection in this price range, as these are the cheapest gaming monitors that you can get in 2024. And they're not just monitors, but they're gaming focused monitors. You could totally get a monitor for maybe 50, 60 bucks, but if you want a good gaming monitor, you'll have to spend a little bit more than that. You can find the links to all three of these displays in my description. If you enjoyed the video, drop a like. Have any comments or questions, drop a comment below. And of course, if you enjoy the content that you're seeing, I would really appreciate it if you dropped a sub. Also, don't forget to check out digitalchillmart.com if you want to get some really cheap Windows license keys. I've been partnered with these guys for years, and I've never had a problem with them. And if you ever did have a problem with them, just shoot them an email. They're very responsive. Thanks for watching. Peace out.